Video number 35 for the 3D Experience CATIA generative shape design application. I'd like to discuss two items, plane icon and the planes between icon, which appear in generative shape design. Now, when you are in generative shape design, the wireframe tab will take you to the plane icon, and in fact, there's a pull-up menu, there's a plane and planes between. So when you look at the plane, the dialog box that pops up looks like so, and there's a pull-down menu which has a lot of different selection options in it. And we're going to go through these one by one. I just want to point out to this mean through points. We'll come to that later. By selecting the planes between, the dialog box opens up, which looks like so. It's fairly straightforward. Now, that's the mean plane through points that I pointed out a minute ago. When you look at the online documentation, it looks like that, and there is no way anybody would have guessed that this is what happens. I would have said probably something like the mean square or least squares line or least squares plane, which makes more sense. But you read this description, it's completely out of whack with my expectation. All right, so let's go ahead and go to generative shape design, and let me try to create a plane. Okay. Now, first of all, offset from a plane is fairly straightforward. So what that means is that select any plane that you want. Doesn't have to be these. It can be any planar face, for example, or a planar surface, or any plane. You select it, and what it does, it creates a plane parallel to that with a distance, in this case 20. I can make this thing 60 or 50, goes up, or you can make that thing minus 50. You flip this, goes down, etc. And if you want to repeat this process after so many times, you click on it, and then you say, for example, after maybe 3 times, and it repeats itself 3 times in that direction. Good. So that takes care of this plane. And notice that this repeat immediately creates an ordered geometric set. Let me delete this for a second. Try it one more time. Double click on this. Repeat geometric set. Repeat object and validation. The validation, for example, if I make this thing make it notice, by the way, the reason that it got created in an ordered geometric set is because this item was checked. If you uncheck it, it'll do it, but it's all under the part body, whichever you prefer. That's an important observation. So if you don't want ordered geometric set, make sure that that box is not checked. All right, so let's go to our next option. Choose that. Close that. Delete this. Let me delete this. All right. So we go to plane. The next option is parallel through a point. Reference can, for example, be this point. Now, point, I don't have it, so I'm going to create a point. You can give it a coordinates, for example, or if you can create any point any way you want. Here, I'll just give this, and maybe so we specify a point basically by creating one. If I already had it, that's okay. And then say okay. And what it did, it created the plane parallel to the that horizontal plane that I picked through the point that I created. We say okay. Good. So we didn't specify the height, we specified actually the point that this plane went through. Let me delete this. Let's go to the next option for creating plane. Go there. So you need a rotation axis. So obviously, if you have an axis, you select it. Otherwise, you go and use, for example, offset, a default one, X, Y, Z of this coordinate system. Or if you have a line, you go and select that. It's entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say about the Z axis. Reference is, so which plane is it? When we say rotation, angle between what and what, the plane that we want to make, and for example, this vertical plane, and right now it's 0, so we can make this thing maybe 50 degrees. Notice that it did create a plane here. Move these things out of the way. It did create here a plane, this green one, which is at 50 degrees from the reference that I took. Incidentally, if you click on this, it becomes automatically 90 degrees, perpendicular to the one that I picked, okay? And let me put this thing back to maybe, let's say 30. You can see that. So it created a plane for me right there. You can see at 30-degree angle. If I double click on this, I could have also said, repeat this after validation, and then say, okay, maybe I'll make it 4 times. And then you can put it in an ordered geometric set, but create a new body or just uncheck that, and then it creates those four planes at 30-degree angle. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. So let me delete all of these. Oh, so we're back to our 3 reference planes here. Next one is we already did that through 3 points. Plane through 3 points. Now I don't have my points here, so I'm going to make it on the fly. So let me make this thing create a point, and I'm going to do that. Oh, okay, this is fine. That's 1 point. I'll do another one. Create a point. This time I'm going to do on a plane. So I just select this plane right there. And another one, third point, plane. I'll do a different plane. So I have, oops, did I cancel that? Oh no, it's right there. Right there. See that? So I created 3 points and on the fly, and then it put the plane through that. Now, if you want to create the points right now, for example, there is one on that plane. So here's another one, and another one on this plane. Now we say plane through 3 points. I can just go ahead and select these, and I can see them. The other one I can't see because I made it on the fly. There were no points. I made them to create the plane. So right there, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. These 3 points lie on that plane. You can see that. Okay. So, okay, let me delete this and delete these. What's the next one? So plane, 3 points we did through 2 lines, through 2 lines. Okay. Now through 2 lines, since I don't have lines, I can either go make them or I can do it on the fly. That's entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do is, let me cancel that. Let me go make my line. So let me do uh, another point, for example, right there. So I make 2 lines, one from here to here, another one from here to here. Here to here. Okay, let me also make another line. For example, we make another line, maybe a line through point and direction. For point, I select this point, and for direction, I select that. Okay. So basically, I have several lines here. So we go plane through two lines. For example, I can do this line and that line. I get a plane here, you can see that. Or I can even do these parallel ones. This is another plane through these two other lines. These are parallel. These two were intersecting, no problem. You can see that. And these two were parallel, and you can do that. Good. So let's go to the next one. Let me delete these planes. Delete them. Next one is through a point and a line. That's easy. So a point, I can select, for example, I don't know, this point. A line, I can select that line. Needless to say, you're going to get your line. Okay, very straightforward. Delete this. Next one. What is that? Through planar curve. Okay, I don't have a curve. So let me go first of all, make a planar curve. These things I don't want. I'm going to delete them. Okay, so on that plane, I will sketch. Actually, you know what? Let me do something else. Let me go ahead and uh, make a plane and then with 3 points. So make 3 points, 1 point, 2 point, and say 3 points. These are 3 points in space. I make a plane through them, or let me cancel that. Let me make a spline through these 3 points. So a 3D spline through these 3 points. So this point and that point and that point, and then say, okay, notice that although this was a 3D spline, but because I selected 3 points, they all lie in the same plane. So it is actually a planar curve, okay? So let me go make a plane through planar curve there. It made it. So if you have a curve that lies in a plane, I can go and make that plane, basically, construct that plane. All right, that takes care of this. Stop this. Let's move on. So I'm going to click on the plane and we're going to do normal to a curve. Okay. Now, obviously, you need a curve. So what I'm going to do instead of doing this thing right now, I'm going to go make it and come back and use this. There are different ways of doing it. For example, let me create 3 points. Just 3 points, for example, on a plane. This one point. Here is another one. So another one. And yeah, sure, why not? One more. Maybe one like that. Okay. So we have 4 points here. Let's put some curve through it. And let's say we use spline, 3D spline. This point, that point, and that point, and that point. And okay. Now, obviously, this is a three-dimensional curve. See that? Fairly arbitrary. And what I can do, although it's not necessary, I do have points on this curve that I can use, but why don't I also make a point on this curve, say, somewhere there. So these 4 points are the ones that I use to draw the spline. This fourth one is the one that I just made on that curve because I want to draw the normal to that plane, normal to that curve. So click on it. Now we're going to go to normal to a curve. It says, where is the curve? Here's the curve. When you select the curve, it places a normal to the curve automatically at some predefined point. My guess is that that's probably the middle point. I'm not sure, middle point in the sense that maybe the length, this length is equal to that length. For a line, definitely it's a middle point. But if we want to change that point, the one that I made, for example, was this one, I believe. It puts it at that location. Okay, that's the one that I made on the curve. But you can put it anywhere you want. Now you also have a curve ratio here. I believe that you can actually, from there, you can give it, from that point, you can place it at some other location. And this is for flipping the direction of where it starts, that location. All right, so that takes care of this. I'm going to get rid of some of these things. What's the next thing? The next one is tangent to a surface. So I need a surface. Let me go make it first and then cancel that. I'm going to go make it on that vertical plane. I will draw a spline. A spline because I want to extrude it to get a curve quickly. So I'm going to extrude. 60. Okay. And let me create a point on that surface. A point on that surface, on a surface. And for example, some point like that. This yellow one, this blue one. And now we're going to go plane, and it's going to be tangent to a surface. So the surface right there, and the point is right at that location. And it creates a, zoom in, you see that it is a tangent to a plane tangent to this curve, or the surface actually, at that location. All right, good. So next one, let's check the next one. Equation. Okay, that being the case, let me go ahead and delete these things. All right, so click on it, equation. Now notice that automatically the equation of a plane from your high school algebra or high school geometry or first year analytic geometry is ax plus by plus cz equal to d. The default values are taken for a, b, and c, or 0, 0, 1. So that's why the normal is in the direction 0, 0, 1, which is upward, and d is actually essentially where it passes through. This is this height. Now, first of all, if you change these, for example, you specify a to be 1 and b to be 3, the direction of the normal changes, and it's going to be a tilted plane like that. So any point on that plane satisfies the expression ax plus by plus cz equal to d, where these are the values. Okay. Now, let me cancel that. Let's go and click on it again. There are some other things we can do here. So with the equation of equation, now, if you gave values a, b, c, for example, let's say, let me go and pick a point first. Make a point in space. Some point in space. Say that one. Okay. Now we click on the plane and equation. You can give it a direction of normal, for example, 1, I don't know, 3, 1. And instead of giving it the value of d, you can say, oh, I want this plane. So this being the normal pass through a point, and the point is that one that I created. So you can go and select this. As soon as you do that, it takes away the d, because now d is determined by what the coordinates of the point that you picked are. So it's like that. And you can do it with respect to axis system, etc. And by the way, if you click on this, the plane become parallel to the screen, okay, whatever it is, whatever it is, whatever that thing is, become parallel to the screen. Good. So that takes care of this. What's the next thing? It is through mean point. Okay. Let me cancel that. I'm gonna delete this. And let me create a few more points in space. So on a plane, so maybe a plane like that, a point like that, another one on this plane, another one on this plane, another one there, etc. So these are points in space that I made, and then say uh, yeah, okay, good. So we have these points in space. Now you click on the plane, and the option that you use is mean through points. Now, question is, what does that mean? Well, what is the meaning of this thing? If I had to guess it, I would say it's the plane of the least squares, but it's not. In fact, if you go to the documentation, it tells you exactly what it is, and that's nowhere close to what I would have guessed. Okay, but anyway, so you can select the points. Uh, all these points, and of course you can add and delete stuff in it if you want. You can delete, if you want, for example, you can delete that one, and then you say okay. So it gives you something plain which has something to do with these points, but in a non-trivial way. Really is kind of, my opinion, not very useful. Finally, it says I want plane in between. Now, these are two planes that you pick. If you look at the icon, you can actually see it. You need two planes, parallel planes. For example, let me create a plane parallel to this. So I'm going to make a plane offset from that. Fine. Let me actually make this thing 30 so that I can see it better. Okay. So what I've done is I've created two planes here, which are actually parallel to each other. So you click on the plane and you use the last option between. You use between this plane. It puts it closer to that. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. Now, the last thing that I want to do is let me delete all these things. Don't delete the children. Okay, I'm going to delete this plane. All right, let me make two planes. Uh, uh, yeah, let me make two planes which are parallel to each other. So you make one by uh, say 3 points. Where's 3 points? 3 points. I need 3 points, so let me make the points by on a plane. It's easy. Point on a plane. That's good. So here's one plane. Here's another plane. Here's another point, and here's another one. There. Oh, so let me make 3 points on plane, one plane like that. another one like so, and another one here. Okay, and then make a plane through these 3 points. Through these 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there it is. So this is a plane that passes through these 3 points. We're going to make a plane that is parallel to that or offset from that. That's good. All right. So we have 2 planes that are parallel to each other. If we go to this planes between, not plane, planes between, it says where are the 2 planes? Here's this one and that one. How many do you want? Let's say make it 8, and then you can create a new body, or you can in an ordered geometric set, or just make it part body. There we are. Okay. So the difference between planes between and planes, this option, is that this gives you a single plane. Okay, single plane, but this other guy gives you as many as you want. That's pretty much it. That takes care of this video. Good luck.